Hello everyone and welcome. This time I'm gonna share with you this presentation I made to put together some concepts and have a general perspective on this matter. We're gonna explore the influence of CIA's methods and Ericksonian hypnosis in modern mass manipulation in this hyper-digital era. Charles Ludwig Dodgson, better known by his pen name Lewis Carroll, was an English author, poet, mathematician, photographer, and reluctant Anglican deacon. His most notable works are Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and its sequel Through the Looking Glass, some of the most important examples of Victorian literature. He was noted for his facility to wordplay, logic, and fantasy. Some of Alice's nonsensical Wonderland logic reflects his published work on mathematical logic. An avid puzzler, Carroll created the word ladder puzzle, which he called Doublets, which was published in Vanity Fair magazine between 1879 and 1881. Inventions. To promote letter writing, Dodgson invented the Wonderland postage stamp case. Another invention was a writing tablet called the nyctograph that allowed note-taking in the dark, thus eliminating the need to get out of bed and strike a light when one woke with an idea. The device consisted of a gridded card with 16 squares and a system of symbols representing an alphabet of Dodgson's design, using letter shapes similar to the graffiti writing system on a palm device. He also devised a number of games, including an early version of what today is known as Scrabble. He invented the doublet, also known as word ladder, a form of brain teaser that is still popular today, changing one word into another by altering one letter at a time, each successive change always resulting in a genuine word. For instance, cat is transformed into dog by the following steps: CAT, COT, DOT, DOG. His mathematical work. Within the academic discipline of mathematics, Dodgson worked primarily in the fields of geometry, linear and matrix algebra, mathematical logic, and recreational mathematics. Dodgson also developed new ideas in linear algebra, the first printed proof of the Rouchet-Capelli theorem. Dodgson also developed new ideas in linear algebra, probability, and the study of elections and committees. Some of this work was not published until well after his death. His occupation as mathematical lecturer at Christ Church gave him some financial security. His work in the field of mathematical logic attracted renewed interest in the late 20th century. Martin Gardner's book on logic machines and diagrams and William Warren Bartley's posthumous publication of the second part of Dodgson's symbolic logic book have sparked a re-evaluation of Dodgson's contribution to symbolic logic. An overview of the Alice in Wonderland technique. Manipulative disorientation. The Alice in Wonderland technique uses disorientation to influence and alter perceptions, making it easier for the target to accept suggestions without critical analysis. This is a coercive method that creates a surreal atmosphere, creating confusion, leading to compliance with directives or suggestions. Literary inspiration. The technique draws inspiration from the literary work Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, where the protagonist experiences a series of bizarre and illogical events. This literary influence is reflected in the method's ability to create a dreamlike state that alters reality for the individual. Historical context and relevance. Through the use of this technique, the CIA aimed to explore mind control and behavioral manipulation, particularly during the Cold War era, as part of many psychological operations. The technique remains relevant in understanding contemporary manipulation tactics in both military and civilian contexts. tracing the development of a psychological strategy from Cold War experiments to modern applications. In the 1950s, the CIA initiates the MKUltra program, focusing on mind control research through unconventional techniques, including hypnosis and sensory deprivation, among others. The main framework here is called psychic driving, that is, basically operating under the very well-known alchemical principle solve et coagula. The first part, solve, means to destroy the subject's identity and worldview using coercive methods such as sleep and sensory deprivation, electroshocks, hallucinogenics, etc. And the second part, et coagula, reconstructing a new person through repetition, the most basic form of brainwashing and mind control. Here is a quote from Admiral Turner: "The kind of thing we are interested in is what will motivate a man to become an agent of the United States in a difficult situation." The joint hearing before the Select Committee on Intelligence was in 1977, focusing on events that happened over 12 or as long as 25 years ago. In the 1960s, the Alice in Wonderland technique is formalized as a method for creating disorientation and manipulating perceptions in subjects. One interesting part from this document is the following: the theory of coercion. The purpose of all coercive techniques is to induce psychological regression in the subject by bringing a superior outside force to bear on his will to resist. Regression is basically a loss of autonomy, a reversion to an earlier behavioral level. As the subject regresses, his learned personality traits fall away in reverse chronological order. He begins to lose the capacity to carry out the highest creative activities, to deal with complex situations, to cope with stressful interpersonal relationships, or to cope with repeated frustrations. How successful these techniques are in inducing regression depends upon an accurate psychological assessment of the subject and a proper matching of method to source. There are a few non-coercive techniques which can also be used to induce regression, but it is illegal and against policy to use them to produce regression. Following is a list of these non-coercive techniques: persistent manipulation of time, retarding and advancing clocks, serving meals at odd times, disrupting sleep schedules, disorientation regarding day and night, unpatterned questioning sessions, nonsensical questioning, ignoring half-hearted attempts to cooperate, rewarding non-cooperation. In general, thwarting any attempt by the subject to relate to his new environment will reinforce the effects of regression and drive him deeper and deeper into himself until he no longer is able to control his responses in an adult fashion. Fun fact: Dick Cheney informed of objectionable interrogation guides in 1992. The QBARC Counterintelligence Interrogation Manual was created in July 1963 and released in 2014. Then, in the 1970s, the techniques developed under MKUltra, including the Alice in Wonderland technique, begin to influence wider psychological practice and military strategies. In the chapter 18 of the Handbook of Investigative Hypnosis, entitled Additional Induction Techniques, Direct and Indirect, Reiser includes a lengthy section on Erickson's naturalistic induction techniques that was taken from Erickson's article published in the American Journal of Clinical Hypnosis in 1958. He also discusses Erickson's indirect rehearsal observation and pantomime techniques.